So you've seen what comes included in the box. So now we shall get the screws laid out, get the instructions sorted, and have a go at putting it together. I'm just going to have a little bit of a move around. I'm going to sit these instructions just here so that everybody can see exactly what it is that I'm doing. So as you can see, the first stage is to get this plate, which is the base of the engine itself, along with the cylinder. The cylinder bolts to the base plate like that, with, I'm just going to have a hunt out for these screws. So that's going to be number 22, which on here is 22, and they are M3x6, which is going to be this small bag. These are individually packaged on their own, so there's not really any mistake in that one. So we'll get those out. Now, that does come complete with the tools for building. In here, got a couple of Allen keys, a spanner, but for now, purely personal preference, I'm going to use my own. No doubt there'll be something that I haven't got the right size for, and I'll have to go back to using the ones included with the kit. But at least for a start, I would like to attempt it with my own, because I just like the feel and the quality of them. Obviously, if you haven't got any tools of your own and this is a first, I can't imagine there's anything at all wrong with the Allen keys included in the kit. I will have a look a little bit later on. That is purely personal preference. Now, a little bit fiddly, but we got that. Those four in the bottom of the cylinder like that. I'll put the instructions back up like so. So the next one would be the center column, which is there. That's the pulley, so it's number 6, which is that brass base part like that. That fits in there like so. And then it is screw number 25, which according to the other part list is an M4x20. There is only one M4x20 in the set, so again, there was no mistake in that. Like so. Like so. And then get the appropriate sized Allen key. I will actually use the one out of the set, just to show that there isn't anything wrong with them. Out of the toolkit bag. Hold the centre pillar and nip it up like so. So part number 2 looks like it is a case of using the small brass spacers to mount said base to the engine base itself. No doubt going to have noticed from a moment ago I'd actually mounted the cylinder and the centre pillar on the wrong side of the plate, so just whip them off and turn them over, and then that makes far more sense. So next up we have got screws number 24, which are, I'm going to assume, these ones with the nuts on. So without further ado, I think we will stand the little brass spacers where they need to be, stand the engine on top, and drop the screws in. And then that's probably going to be best to try and do one at a time. So we'll spin the nut off, brass spacer, screw in, screw underneath, wind on the nut. We will tighten everything up once we've managed to get them all in, like so. Now you'll notice on the instructions that you're actually supposed to fit the crank bearings to the end 2, which is these, end 4 should we say. I've skipped that without realising, so we're going to have to whip those 2 out, but something along the lines of that got the screw through, spin the nut on the bottom. It does all feel rather flimsy at the minute, but I'm sure in a sec, when everything's tightened up, it will all go tight and be wonderful. These small N3 nuts are awfully fiddly when you have sausage fingers like me. Take those 2 out for a second. Stand it up like so. Lift out the screws. Fit the other main bearing. Slide them back in. Roll it over. Refit the nuts. There we have it. So now it's a case of getting the spanner, which is included in the toolkit, here. If we can get it out of the bag without too much of an argument, like so. Allen key in the top side, spanner underneath, and get them all tightened up. And there we are. So part 3 on the diagram, that looks like we need the important bit, the beam. And then there is a small grub screw to fit in there. That's for fixing it to the top of the pillar. And we might use a small bit of oil for assembly when putting the cylinder in. So the grub screw is a small one by the looks of things, and included is a small Allen key for said small grub screw, like so. Fit it in there like that, and then we'll get one of my small oil pens. Again, I will leave a link in the description for these, just to put a small amount in the cylinder and on the piston for first assembly. like so. Slide the piston in. Beam mounts to the pillar. Now this can be set up a little offset if you're not careful. You want to get that right so that it can run nice and smoothly. Somewhere around there, I believe. Like so. Then the other part is to fit the crankshaft bearings, which they are in the small parts bag. So they are just a press fit from the outside, like so. Step 5 is going to be eccentric strap for the steam valve. Not that one, it's that one. So again, we'll have a small amount of oil just on the important parts. And then that slides into the bottom of the cylinder, like so. So the part that was in the bag with the bearings on was actually the crankshaft. If you follow step 6 on the instructions, just fold this up, it's a bit easy to see. Step 6 on the instructions, there is a longer flat this end than there is this end, and if you're feeding it into the engine frame from this side, as in this picture here, the shorter flat, that end, wants to go in first. And also the flywheel brass hub where the grub screw is fitted also wants to be facing that way. So we'll drop the flywheel in there like that and slide said crankshaft through there, through the flywheel, and push the bearing out the other side. Put the bearing back on, like so. There we go. So taking the eccentric off for a minute. There is a grub screw to go in the back there. So we'll refit that. And then one can assume that that goes something like that. Again, the grub screw for the eccentric strap isn't actually mentioned at this point. But it is in part 7, if we see there. If we look just there, that's another 1.5mm, which is a small one, like so. And in my mind, you want this crank web, which I will show you in 1 second. Once this eventually takes, that crank web flush with the end of the crankshaft, like so. And then you're also going to have the flywheel somewhere in the centre, like that. The grub screw is already fitted into that. So that's just a case of lining it up with the flat, get it in the centre of the bearings, and doing up the grub screw. Like so. Then we've got the pulley just here, and that will be what the final grub screw. Oh no, there is yet another grub screw in the back, so that must have a job somewhere else. Most probably in the end of the beam, I believe. And fit that onto there, but not without the small spacer in the small parts bag, and that should then help keep the crankshaft, the flywheel, in the centre of the crankshaft, and so that everything keeps itself together like so. So the next part is the connecting rod, which we had out earlier. There is then a crank pin for the top end, which goes in there like that, followed by the final grub screw. So I'm going to have to confess, made a little bit of a balls up with the filming of this video, and while I thought the camera was recording, it wasn't, and I didn't notice till I'd got to the end of the build. But I don't think you missed a great deal of importance, so we'll just have a run through what we've missed, and hopefully I think you'll get the gist of where we're at. So we got as far as fitting the connecting rod. There is a small crank pin in the small parts bag, and there is a grub screw for in the end of the beam there. Then we fitted the governor, which there is a short length of rubber hose in the kit, and then there is 2 screw holes in the base just here. Now one screw is just a short one, the same as we used for mounting the engine and a few other bits and bobs. The other one, long screw, which is already fitted in the governor, which I'm not sure whether you can see in there. So you have to remove that, put the governor in place, and then refit it. You've then got the longer piece of rubber hose. Again, as I said when I thought it was recording, this is my only gripe with the kit. It would have been much nicer to see brass or copper pipework, but small brass fittings, easily cross-threaded, then you end up with an unhappy customer. So I can completely see why they've gone with the rubber / silicone hose idea. Then we'll move on to the boiler. You've got 2 side covers and 2 end covers. One is obviously the firebox end, the burner end shall we say. The other end is completely flat, and it has a hole for the steam pipe, so you must make sure that you get that mounted in the back on the governor side. Otherwise, when you go to slide the boiler in, you'll have nowhere to thread the steam pipe. Inside are 4 brass rods. I don't know whether you can see that in there. And what you have to do is put a screw through from the bottom, put the side cover on the base, push the screw through and screw it into the brass rod, leaving the 4 screws out of the top, because that's where your boiler straps go when you're finished. And that pretty much gets you to this stage, which I must admit I'm pretty impressed. And then you've got the burner, which comes as a little bit of a kit. You've got the burner tray, you've got this separate tray which acts as a fire door, I guess, and then the 2 wicks. I have placed the 2 wicks in the fire door, and then placed it into the burner like so, because I found that the easiest way of getting it to all pushed together. Afterwards, you've got this spare parts bag, which comes with a spare drive belt, a couple of spare large O-rings. I'm going to assume that is for the boiler window, and a few seals and washers, which are going to be for the whistle, safety valve, etc. So yeah, what can we say? That's really good quality. It has surprised me. Oh, there is one other thing also in the kit, is this little steel tray. It's not mentioned anywhere in the instructions, but seeing as the exhaust goes out the base just there, I'm going to say that's a rather thoughtful drip tray, which is rather nice in my eyes. So what does it compare to? Mamod tried to produce a beam engine, and I'm not sure, but my slight knowledge of Mamod tells me that they stopped production not long after starting, so there aren't many of those around. They were prohibitively expensive. I have got a Mamod SE3 here, twin, and I'll be honest, between the two, the Retrol is actually quite a lot heavier. So that tells you how much more metal is in it, and just look at the size compared to the Mamod SE3. Yes, it is a little bit smaller, but I wouldn't say it's small. The SE3 being one of the bigger engines, if not the biggest. So now it's built, we shall go and find a little funnel, get it filled up with water, get the burner filled up with meth, and we'll have a little play and see how it performs. As we're going to be playing with fire, we've brought it outside. The water level in the boiler, this table is on a little bit of a slope, but is about 3/4 full. That leaves just enough room for steam. You are going to need to get yourself some meth if you're not already a steam fan. I believe this came from Home Bargains and was about £2. It's really not a lot. I must say I'm a massive fan of methylated spirits sooner than the solid fuel tablets, what we have in the Mamods and Walescos of today. It's cleaner. I'm pretty sure it gives a warmer flame, although obviously there is the danger of spilling it, and I'm guessing that is why it was ruled out in this country. So we've got the little steel drip tray. We'll place that under the exhaust. I have already pre-filled the burner, so you haven't got to sit and watch me make a mess. So with a bit of luck, that will light. And we will be on our way. Like so. So just while we're waiting for steam to build, I'd like to take this moment to say thank you to Sterling Kit for sending me this kit to review. If you found this video useful so far, please do give it a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more future videos like this. All the links will be in the description below for you to be able to buy the engine with my discount code, which is Rusty Relics. I will also leave a link in the description for the oiler pen, which we're just going to give a quick run around the engine while waiting for it to warm up. Like so. All the little moving parts can have a little dab. The beauty of these little pens is how precise they are. You don't end up with oil everywhere. There, on the crank pin, main bearings and eccentric, and of course the governor, which I have to say is probably my most favourite part of this engine. So a few more minutes get a bit of heat into it, and we should be ready for the off. Whilst waiting to build steam up, I have just noticed that the handle for the whistle was in the vertical position. That's how it came, and that is actually open. So you do need to fold that down. Don't know whether you can see that there, but there are some bubbles forming in the boiler, thanks to the nice big glass window in the end. So we must be getting very close. Another quick mention is the neat little feature of the drain cock fitted to the cylinder. Don't think I've ever seen that fitted to a toy type model. This obviously isn't an scale model as such. So you'll have to excuse the aeroplane in the background. So I think we are nearabouts there. So we're going to open the drain cock, open the steam valve, and give it a little helping hand. Not quite there yet, but we're heading in the right direction. Now making some of the right noises. So we will open the steam valve. And away we go. Still quite a bit of condensate coming out of the exhaust. That's probably my fault for putting slightly too much water in. But we shall see. But yes. That is a rather nice little thing. The governor keeping it a sensible speed and doing as it should. Yeah, great. That's equal to Mammoth quality. Dare I say even it might be better. We will see what it's like to live with over the next few months. I'm guessing it's possibly the wind outside that's making it struggle to keep ahead of steam, but that appears to have run out now. But there we have it, the Retrol Steam Beam Engine. Get it from Sterling Kit with the link below. Fantastic. If they keep producing things like this, we might have to have a few more steam engines. That is lovely. So once again, if you haven't already, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave us some comments, leave us a comment with your thoughts. How do you think it compares to a Mammoth or a Walesko or any of the others? Another big thank you to Sterling Kit. And on that note, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.